Alright folks, with things pretty slow, we have some questions on how to build your own inside bar scan, and then how to get that scan into what we've been this spreadsheet that I put together. Okay, so first thing is the easiest thing to do. Both the scan itself is in the Documents tab, and then also this spreadsheet is in the Documents tab. Okay, so if this is the actual scan that I set up. Hang on, let me move this out of the way so you can see what the scan actually is. Okay, so the scan, once you get the code, which is in the Documents tab, you go to Load Scan. It'll be in your personal, and this one happens to be the first one just because this is in alphabetical order. Okay, so my scan is this. Make this bigger. Oh, we don't need to make it bigger. Okay, so what this shows is I want to see stocks that have a minimum value of 20, and this is showing a maximum value of 10,000. Obviously, we're not going to be trading a $10,000 stock, but probably want to be tightening this up anyhow. So let's go to 30 and 500. We don't trade too many stocks higher than 500. Alright, then this is a little piece of code that I made. You can see what it is. Very simple. What this is saying is that the high from 1 bar ago is greater than than today's high, and the low from today's is less than that. So you have an inside bar today compared to yesterday. Cancel that. So that, and then I want to see the 50-day moving average have a minimum value of 1 million underlyings traded. That'll get all of your, lesser traded option stocks out of there. Okay, so then you simply, now you have to do this after the close. Obviously we're open right now, so you have to do this after the close, because that'll give you your final prices. But you run a scan. So let's pretend that it's 305. Very easy. Once you get this set up, you just hit scan, and right now there's 113 inside buys that are setting up. Are there going to be 113 at the end of the day? Probably not, because probably something is going to move higher than yesterday's high or lower than yesterday's low, thereby making it not an inside bar. But let's pretend that it is the end of the day. Alright, so I have my list. So what you do, you then go to here, which is the third little 3 bar here, and I want to export this. And I want to export this to Microsoft Excel. You don't have to do anything.
There's a chance that tomorrow could be
so then let's pretend this is yesterday's list, and then you just go into the upper left hand corner and you hit Control V. So now all of these are in there. These are all inside bars.
The next I would look at is
like we said, there's 113 of those. We have three rows of nothingness or text, and we wouldn't expect any of these to trigger because we're live. They don't trigger until the next day. But what this does is after, so you paste this over. This is my IB buy. All this is saying is that take yesterday's high and multiply it by 101%. That's your trigger for an inside buy, an inside bar buy. Conversely, the sell is 99% of yesterday's low, 1% lower than the low from yesterday. If any of these two things happen, it's going to kick out a signal. So let's get rid of this and not save it. Don't save. I'm going to bring it up again and get today's up there. Here's the one that I did yesterday, and now we see that we actually get some triggers here because my trigger for a buy here was 75.71, and we can see we're trading 75.95. So then that kicks out, hey, it's a buy, and then I put this in there. It's 24 cents above the buy cents, and in percentage terms, it's a third higher. you probably don't want to be looking at things that are three, like here in HRL. You don't want to be looking at an inside bar that's already triggered 2 3/4% ago. But that's a buy trigger. Now, just because a buy triggers does not mean that it's a buy. And we've gone through, and you can look at the online material and say what else needs to happen. Well, you need, in the case of a buy, you need a price channel moving up, you need the ATR below, and you need the home average moving up.
Why do you think they're down 27%?
This is again, we don't do a whole lot of counter trend trading here.
Why do you think they're down?
Trading with the trend.
Got like hundreds of millions.
So let's see. Here's a sell. Here's a sell that kicked off. Well, that one's not actually good. In WBA. Well, this takes this price, the IB sell, and compares it to this. We're already 35, 37%, 0.37% below the trigger price. And so this is a quick way for you just to go through and say, what's triggering, and do I want to take a look at it? And then you just go in and you save it. Now afterwards, you also do, at the end of the day, I've left one part out. After you paste today's, the end of today's data in here, you need to hit this reset values, because then that's going to give you valid closing prices for tomorrow. So I'll go ahead and do this, and I'm not, so you don't have to worry about what it is, but it does a bunch of copying and pasting and erasing things. It does it that fast, and then you would go in and you'd save it. But we're not going to save this one because
SMAR has actually been in a really nice.
we just want to get out of this. Don't save. Okay. Any questions on that? That's how you do it. Like I say, I do it for you every day. But if you want to run your own scans, by all means, please do. I'm sure you're going to need to play around with it a little bit and get used to it, because anytime, even me, anytime somebody gives me a spreadsheet, it's like, all right, what the hell's going on here? Got to figure it out. That's why I like us to all use the same spreadsheets. At least I know where to look for the problems. Okay, so I did record this, not terribly long. I will put this in the room and on the campus, and that's it. You got it. You're very welcome, everybody. All right, let me get this video out to you guys.
I think I'm going to take AFYA off.